So the idea of me having a chat with you today is really about when you're thinking about going into childcare. Quite often, obviously, you know what you're looking for in terms of the needs for the children, but one of the questions that you often come up with first is, I really like it, I know what I need, how much is it going to cost me? And that plays a big factor, and we understand that. So what I want to talk to you about today is the steps to get the best price possible for when your children do go to childcare. So the thing that you want to do first is register your child for childcare benefit with Centrelink. A lot of people, it seems really hard. There are 3 ways that you can do it. Obviously, face-to-face in the Centrelink office. The other way exactly, and that's time-consuming. The other way is online. You can do it online. But another opportunity that you have is to phone them. And I know that that's a waiting time too. However, I don't know if a lot of people know that they're actually open till 8 o'clock at night on a weekday. So I always suggest wait till the baby's asleep, wait till your little one's asleep, because you know you're going to have some waiting time. Put it on speaker, go about your business until someone comes on. At night time, often it's really less than 10 minutes rather than the half an hour during the day. So you need to let them know that you are wanting to register for childcare benefit for your child. Now, often they will ask you when you're going to be starting, and you know, some people are not really going to start for another 6 months, and so you might get the response of, okay, ring me a little bit closer or whatever. But I think one of the things that you should consider is that if you're looking for a position or you know you're going to work soon, transitioning your children into childcare beforehand. So therefore, your child could be going back into childcare within the next 4 weeks. And that's what could happen. So therefore, register so that your child can go back in the next 4 weeks. They'll ask you a series of questions to determine the family income. There are cut-off points. So for one child going into childcare, your cut-off point to receive childcare benefit is $146,000 per family. So if that's your 2 incomes and you exceed that, you miss out on childcare benefit. If you're under that, you should well be eligible for childcare benefit. Now, if you're at work and if you're eligible to receive 100% of childcare benefit, say for example the average fee being maybe $80 a day, the centre fee would come up to say $395 a week for 5 days a week. The gap fee for a parent on 100% rebate would come down to $200 for the week. But now you have your next step that you should also register for if you're both working particularly, or if the prime carer is working, and that is your CCR, and that's your childcare rebate. That's your 50% that you get back from your gap fee. So your 50%, so you've got it down to $200. Your 50% then kicks in, and now it's $100. So that would be your weekly fee. If you do choose to do that, there are 4 ways to be paid that CCR. You can have it paid directly to service, and that's the one I always recommend to parents, because that's when what you're paying over the counter is reduced. The other ways that you can have it is that you can have it on a fortnightly, a quarterly, or an annual basis. You're still going to be paying over the counter that fee that doesn't include that 50%. So if you can get that 50% in on your fee, so across the counter you're only paying the minimum. You've got your CCB and your CCR, you're paying the absolute minimum out-of-pocket expenses on a weekly or fortnightly basis. And I think a lot of people find that the most useful way. Most software packages at Childcare Centre forecast what your CCR is going to be, so therefore you will know what your gap fee is going to be. But certainly, before you go to visit a centre, register, you should get a letter from Centrelink with the information of your childcare benefit on there. Take that with you to the centre, because they need a copy. When they go to input your information that then gets sent through to the Department of Employment for the CCB to be paid, the information that you gave Centrelink has to match exactly what we put into our software. If there's a spelling mistake, it won't come across. And we've had instances where the birth date of the child, mum says to us, this is what the birth date is, and it has been inputted incorrectly into Centrelink's database. We have to match it with the incorrect one for you to get your CCB until it's been repaired at Centrelink. So you just need to know that that letter is really important, and you should really get that letter within 2 weeks of 2 to 4 weeks of actually registering. So once you've got that, yes, then absolutely come through to the centres. Now, so those are the two for the families. Now, there are other rebates that are available as well, and there's one particularly for studying or training parents, and that's JET. Now, if you're eligible to receive any of the family tax benefits and you are studying or training, you can apply for JET as well. JET is a flat fee for childcare of $12 a day. So it's $60 a day, $60 a week, regardless of any other factors. So certainly if you're aware of people who are studying or training and they're looking to access childcare, just remind them of JET. Now, there's another one that a lot of people are not aware of, and I've actually had families here today, and that's the grandparent benefit. There are some grandparents out there who have guardianship of their grandchildren. So obviously there's some, stresses for them at the age that they are, and now looking after littlies. The grandparent benefit allows children to come into childcare if the grandparent has the guardianship of the child and they are receiving some of those family tax benefits at no cost, none whatsoever. So that's a really important benefit that a lot of grandparents that are not aware of. And then there's another tier of rebates where a family is experiencing some hardship. So if mum has been in hospital and is recovering, and she really needs to have her child in care so that to speed up her recovery and to allow the child to still access some social activities and so forth. So there's some financial hardships happening. There is 13 weeks of free childcare available, and it's approved at a centre level for a person in that position as well. Always, if you know someone in that position, get them to at least ask, because it's not that difficult to actually attract. There is a limit on how many any childcare centre can actually offer to families. It's 18% of their income, so they need to be careful of that. But mostly people who are in that position have been able to access it. We have a lot of families who have accessed that particular benefit, and it's quite important that people are aware of it. Now, I'll just be clear, I don't work for the government. I'm the operations manager of Bubble and Squeak, but what we find is that a lot of people don't know about a lot of the benefits and how to access them. If you at any time are feeling a little unsure or it's all confusing, don't hesitate to ring a centre director. Most of them can walk you through the process. Certainly at Bubble and Squeak, our centre directors will actually help you on the phone. You just simply give a Centrelink permission to actually speak to the centre director, and she'll walk you through and help you through on the phone. There are interpreter services available, and we can access those for people as well. So in terms of starting in childcare, first thing, register. Then start looking, because you know what your childcare benefit's going to be, and then you'll be able to actually speak to parents, to the centre director about costing. Now, the other part that I wanted to talk about with you is the change of date and the One Start preschool and school. In our centres at Bubble and Squeak, we have preschools, DEX-funded preschools in the centres at no additional cost. So children can actually go into childcare, parents can go off to work and happily know that their children are still getting their full preschool education prior to going to school without having to go at 12 o'clock, go at 9 o'clock, come back at 12:30 and start all over again. That running back and forth can be quite difficult, and we absolutely understand that. So we do have that preschool available as well. With the preschool now, children can have up to 4 terms prior to going to school, and they can only start school if they turn 4 before the 1st of May. So if you have a 2nd of May baby, as I did a long time ago, you have to wait until the following year. Now, so preschool has to be worked back from that start date 4 terms back. So even if your child is 4, they can't actually go to preschool if they don't meet the criteria of starting school in that following year. So once again, when you're thinking about preschool, you need to know your child's school start date and count the 4 terms back. And it's the transition year this year, and next year it'll be come into its full capacity. So this year has got some leeways, and there are also some leeways in the age. Children of Indigenous culture, children who are in remote areas, some of those children are able to start at 3 years 9 months rather than, and they get 6 terms of preschool rather than they can get up to 6 terms of preschool rather than the usual 4. So if you're thinking about those sorts of things as well, you just need to actually, there's a calculator on a government website, which is sa.gov.au, and you just plot in your child's birth date, and that'll tell you when your child can actually start school. And even for little babies, at least you know how to sort of plan forward, because it does take a lot of planning. It goes so quickly, but it does take quite a lot of planning. I'm just going to ask if anyone's got any specific questions that I can help with, which I'm happy to answer now if you like. I'm also over at booth C11, which is the Nanny SA and the Bubble and Squeak Childcare booth. And so what we do there is there are a number of ways that you can access care for your child. So we can look at nannying, we can look at in-home care, and we can look at childcare. And some of those rebates are available for in-home care as well. So if you were not able to access childcare because you're a shift worker, you may be eligible for in-home care, which means you get those childcare rebates. So that's available as well. All right, so we're all comfortable. We're feeling we know what we're doing.
Can you find out about the rebates, because we were late? Sorry.
Okay, the rebate. I'm being asked where do we find out about the rebates. The rebates are actually on the Centrelink website, but I can give you some more information if you want to come over to the booth, and I'll be able to give you some more information about that as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to fall over. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope I was able to help you navigate your first step and into the foray of childcare. Thank you.